The NBA is horrified of this. The Cavs have finally knocked off some rust on the offensive side of the ball. The numbers prove that, and it has the rest of the league shaking in their boots. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Cavs Digest. I'm your host for today. A happy Tuesday and a very happy Veterans Day. Big thank you to all of you who have served or are currently serving in our armed forces. I'm your host for today's video, Darayus Sethna. Thanks so much for joining me. Before I get into today's video, just want to send you that friendly reminder. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to that Cavs Digest YouTube channel. Lots of news going on with the Cavs. Now we're in November. Season is starting to really ramp up here, so you're not going to want to miss a moment of it. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the Cavs Digest YouTube channel to keep up with all things Cavs as the season continues to move along. And it's kind of crazy. We're about to hit the 3-week mark on the regular season for all the NBA teams. 3 weeks ago today was the first NBA game, that double overtime thriller between Houston and OKC. Cavs will hit their 3-week mark tomorrow in their second game in Miami, looking to avenge the loss last night. Man, what a tough loss. That buzzer beater to Andrew Wiggins, just complete lapse of judgment. I think Matt's going to have a little bit more of a breakdown on that, so I'm excited to see what he has to say. But I wanted to just give an analysis of what I've been seeing overall from the team in these last few games. And a recent article via NBA.com listed the power rankings as we now head into week 4. The teams like the Cavs and Knicks have, really taken that next step and are kind of showing why those are the two teams who are the favorites in the East. So there are two spots, as the headline here mentions, that remain unchanged. Those top two spots, respectively, are Oklahoma City, the defending champions, and the Denver Nuggets, with Nikola Jokic once again in command with his team. Getting into the Cavs a little bit more specifically, overview here. So the Cavs jumped 8 spots with their performances this past week. Got a winning streak going. Darius Garland is finally back. Hopefully this toe injury that he suffered yesterday in Miami is just a little skid here. Nothing. Hopefully it's nothing to worry about. We'll see what happens there. We'll get to Garland in a little bit here, but overall, just looking at this Cavs team, these numbers here. 117 offensive rating, defensive rating of 112 with pace of 103. To me, this just shows that the Cavs are a well-rounded team. This has been a well-rounded performance by this Cavaliers squad over the last couple weeks, especially the last few games of this season. So ultimately, I think when you look at the Cavs, everybody who has needed to step up, who Matt and I have highlighted who's needed to step up, is doing that. And you see the numbers here. These high numbers shows me that it's not just a one-man band with Donovan Mitchell. Everybody is contributing in some way, shape, or form, and now you're starting to see that in the numbers as well. I think we really saw the culmination of this well-rounded, well-oiled machine, if you will, and what the Cavs can become in that NBA Cup game on Friday night in Washington against the Wizards. Now, you could say, Darayus, the Wizards are one of the, if not the worst team in the NBA. Why should this matter? And I think it should matter is because when you look at it, the Cavs hung 148 points up on the Wizards. And, today's NBA, 148 points really is still, a big feat. We do talk about teams now scoring, 110, 120 points a game. But if you're the Cavs, the fact that you were able to drop 148 points in dominant fashion on the road, I don't care who it is. They're still professional basketball players at the end of the day. The fact that you can do that is impressive. And I think we saw just how not only dominant this team can be on Friday night, we saw how efficient they can be as well. Looking at more in some of the efficiency numbers here, I'll get into it with this first stat graphic. talking about overall efficiency. The Cavs offense, and this is from the article on the power rankings, it seems to be back after this past week. So after scoring just 111 points per 100 possessions, which was 26th in the league through their first 7 games, they've scored a little less than 131 now per 100 possessions over their last 3. And obviously that win against Washington helped in the numbers there. But then you look at the Cavs' comeback win this past Saturday against Chicago, scored 128 points there. It was kind of the Mitchell show down the stretch, but overall the team played well to get back in that game against Chicago. Going into this a little bit more, kind of the reason this team, or this Cavs team, has been more effective is because they've shot better, but have also seen a big reduction in turnovers, committing just 19 total over their weekend back-to-back on Friday against DC, and then this Saturday at home against Chicago, both wins. They're 148 points on 105 possessions in that game against Washington on Friday, were the 4th most efficient performance for any team this season. So the key word for me here is the turnovers. And coaches speak about this all the time, and honestly any sport. When you can reduce the number of turnovers, that helps your offense out tremendously because it essentially gives you more cracks to score. If you're not turning the ball over, right, you're playing solid defense, and then you're getting the stop, and now you're back on offense. You're not turning the ball over and giving more possessions to your opponent. Going into that game against Chicago as well, I kind of talked about it. It really was the Donovan Mitchell heroics show down the stretch. The Cavs trailed by the Bulls by as many as 19 points, and they were down 6 with less than 2 minutes left on Saturday, but they closed the game on a 12-0 run, handing Chicago its first clutch loss of the season. Now, for those of you who are a little bit unfamiliar, real quick here, a game that is considered a clutch-type situation is a game that is within 5 points between the two teams with 5 minutes or less to go in the game. So Donovan Mitchell scored the first 8 of those last 12 points and has averaged 34, and here's the big one, efficiency again on 52% from the field, 48% from 3, and 100% from the free throw line over the winning streak. So that just shows you, not only how great Mitchell has been, but it really seems like the rest of this Cavs team is kind of starting to fit along a little bit. I do want to see a little bit more from Evan Mobley, just personally, obviously from Jarrett Allen as well. I was scratching my head a little bit why he wasn't in the game in down the stretch in Miami, especially on that final play. You have 2 7-footers, you need to protect the rim, and the fact that there was just the lapse in judgment there. Again, just terrible way to end that game. I'm excited to hear what Matt has to say about that one for sure. Last point I want to bring up to in this video, kind of the key thing here, is on Darius Garland. Now, he came back last week in the Cavs Classic Edition jersey night, the debuts, and also the debut of Darius Garland on the young season. So, good win against Philadelphia last week, but when I think about Darius Garland and what he's been able to do, just his mere presence alone, and he's obviously not 100%. He certainly is not going to be 100% when he gets back from this most recent toe injury, but I think just his mere presence alone unlocks so many different possibilities for this Cavaliers team, and he doesn't necessarily have to score all the time in order to be effective. In the game last night against Miami, before he went down, he only had 11 points. The Cavs ended up scoring 138 points in that game. So that's 127 points scored by the rest of the Cavs crew, including Donovan Mitchell. Evan Mobley had a big night. DeAndre Hunter had some big buckets. Sam Merrill, give him a lot of credit, really stepped up in that fourth quarter to cut the Cavs deficit. They ultimately took the lead, and from there it was back and forth between the two teams. So again, this Cavs team is deep, they're efficient, which really makes them dangerous. But I think it's really important to, once again, you're seeing with Garland back now, you're just seeing how the level raises, the bar raises here with this Cavalier offense, takes them to new heights because now teams have to worry about yet another all-star guard who can cause problems. And even just his presence alone only has to have 11 points. I'm sure he would have had a lot more if he didn't go down, but just the fact that he's on the floor, this past week contributing, you can see that this Cavs offense is just going to another level because of that. So ultimately what I'm looking at here for the Cavs is, one, you've got to be able to avenge that loss against Miami tomorrow. You need to go back to Kaseya Center, I think it's called now, not American Airlines Arena anymore. But you need to take it to the Heat. Show them that, Monday night was a fluke. You mean business. And then here's the big one, too. That's the first night of a back-to-back, tomorrow night's game. The Cavs will face the Toronto Raptors at home on Thursday night. And here's why this stretch is so critical, because that first game at home on Thursday night is the first game of a 6-game homestand. So in Miami, to me, is a very beatable team. The Cavs obviously dismantled them in the playoffs last year. And then also the Cavs, there were multiple moments the Cavs had that game right at the plucking. They were about to force double overtime, and then just one defensive lapse changes the course of that game. So ultimately, I think the Cavs, very winnable stretch here. You've got obviously Miami tomorrow, Toronto Thursday, then you have Memphis on Saturday, Milwaukee on Monday. Again, these are all beatable teams. With the way the Cavs have been playing, especially, hopefully, you hope Garland is okay and can be back for these games. But if not, I still think the Cavs have what it takes to beat these teams. And if Darius Garland's back in the picture, man, sky is the limit. I'm not even worried about this stretch. That's how confident I am in the Cavs. But let me know what you have to say, because with just Darius Garland back on the floor, it brings this Cavaliers team it takes them to another level offensively. And I just think the fact that he's back, you can see the efficiency. The numbers are proving to you that this is a more effective team with Garland on the floor, a more efficient team with Garland on the floor, and ultimately that makes them a more dominant and a more dangerous team for the rest of the NBA. Let me know what you have to say in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our Cavs Digest YouTube channel. We want to make sure you're kept in the loop with all things Cavs all season long. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time for another episode of Cavs Digest. Thanks so much, everybody, and take care.